Hi, my dear students. Let us start today with one of the prose from your main book, that is Beehive, right? So, the next chapter that we are about to start today, that is your chapter number 7, which is titled as Packing. Packing. What do you understand by the term packing? In a layman's term, packing simply a task of packing anything, right? It can be packing gifts or packing your luggage. Especially we pack our luggages when we need to go for a tour, or when you need to move out of our place and visit a different place, right? So here in this lesson you will find there are 4 characters. The main central character of this chapter is Jerome, who is also the author. So the first is Jerome. Next character we will find in this chapter is George, followed by Harris and Montmorency. Okay, so 4 characters: Jerome, George, Harris and Montmorency. Montmorency is actually the name of the dog that we will find in this lesson. Okay, now this is basically a humorous story, a story of fun, a story of laughter. Here in this story we will see that the narrator, that is the Jerome, okay, Jerome, he himself is the narrator. He is proud of his packing art, and he thinks that everybody cannot be a good packer. And so the case with his friends, that is George and Harris, same. George and Harris, they also think the same way, that they are the best packer. Okay. Now the dog, as I told you, the pet, that is Montmorency, we will see that during the process of packing, the dog adds trouble to their packing, and at last, anyway, somehow, they are able to pack things, but somehow or other they manage it. And the narrator, as they were packing the things, the narrator watches them silently, but he does not interfere in their work. I hope you got at least a short preface overview of the chapter, right? In fact, in this story we will see that Jerome also tells to the reader, that is us, we all, the readers, that before starting any journey we should plan and prepare for it well. Otherwise, what happens is that we have to face a lot of difficulties. And one more thing which he says is that we should not take any task very easy or leave it on others, And here with the story of packing, he really conveys a very good message. We will discuss about those message and the learnings of the chapter at the end of the lesson. So now let me start the story. Here, as I told you, that packing is a very humorous descriptions by Jerome, and he says that before starting for a trip one should plan and prepare oneself. That is the first and foremost thing that one must do. And for proper packing of goods and articles, whatever, experience as well as knowledge, both are needed. Basically, this particular story, there is a short novel I remember. Earlier it was in your syllabus, which is titled as 3 Men in a Boat. But from the last 2 years, you are the second batch, this short novel portion has been omitted from the syllabus. So this story is basically an extract from 3 Men in a Boat. Okay. So here, the humor, the fun lies in the funny actions of the author and his friends. Now what happens is that George and Harris, they are packing for a trip, and the author Jerome felt proud of his own skill, of his packing skills, and he offered himself to do packing. Okay, he himself came forward and told George and Harris that, let me help you guys. So offering own self. Now his friends allowed him to do so, and they relaxed. As as Jerome said that, let me help you out. So his friends said, all right, fine, and they just relaxed. They were chilling out, and Jerome had to do it all alone himself. But actually, Jerome did not mean that. When he offered himself to do the work, what he meant was that he would be supervising. Okay, he would be helping them out, and whereas even the other two friends of his, even they would have to do along with him. That's what he really meant. But what happened was the irony, the opposite of it, and due to which the author was not happy, because he never meant that his friends will be relaxing and he'll be doing it alone. He just wanted that this packing should be under his supervision. That's what he all meant. But his offer was completely misunderstood, and his friends made him pack the things. So when they relaxed, when his friends were relaxing, he felt irritated. But as he himself offered for packing, so he couldn't say anything. The author started packing. And when the packing was over, George asked if the soap was packed. Now after the packing got completely over, now imagine, now if supposingly you are packing something, you're done with your packing, and your friends ask you a question that, have you packed this? Have you packed that? Now what do you have to do? If you're not sure about, you'll have to reopen it, the entire thing, right? Which would be a mess. So when George asked that if the soap was packed, the author refused to open the bag. But yes, for soap he did not reopen, but for other purpose he had to reopen the bag again. He had to reopen the bag for the tobacco pouch. And when George and Harris, they started packing now, they messed up everything. They stepped on things. Some of the things even broke. Everything was in chaos. And on top of that, in addition to it, the dog, Montmorency, the dog added the confusion more. How? What did he do? By sitting on the things, he put his legs into this jam, the jam which we eat, bread jam and all. So he put his legs into the jam, and after that he spoiled 3 lemons, taking them as rats, as if he is hunting for rats. But at last, finally, somehow the packing was done at somewhere around 12:50, and now they decided to go for sleep. But again, in the beds, as they were on their beds, there was some question. Harris and the author, that is Jerome, they shared the same bed, while the other friend, that is George slept alone. Now they argued that when they should get up finally. Now that was the topic of discussion for them. Finally they decided to get up at 6:30 a.m. and they slept. That's all the story is all about. So see, a simple task of packing, but even though it's a simple task, they went to their bed at around 12:50. So the main thing, the very good lesson we get from this extract or from the story, that is, we should not take any task very easy, or at the same time we must not leave it on others also. It's like, for example, I'll tell you, our life, our life is also a journey. Many a times we meet with complex situations while continuing our journey. But if we have pros to deal with them, we do not have to experience too much of pain. Okay, one must also know how to deal with them. So, the art of, like for example, the art of packing, if they were expertise in packing, they would have not had to face so much of confusion, right? So basically, through this story, what the author is trying to convey us is that things that seems to be very easy may not be easy as we think. For example, packing. Packing things in a bag is not difficult task. That's what generally people think. But look here. Here it made a mess. Why? Because it was not done with a proper plan. Correct? So even the simplest things can land you up in a trouble if you have not made a proper plan for it. So the message is very clear that we must have proper knowledge, and in the absence of knowledge, what happens is that we are bound to face problems, like as we have seen in the story as suffered by these three friends, Jerome, George and Harris. Correct? And we also saw one more thing in the story, that while packing, we must avoid the final stage of packing for some time. There's a saying, right? Doing things at the 11th hour, at the last moment. That's very risky, Why? Because our quick decision may create problem for our happy journey. I hope you got the lesson very clearly, correct? Read the text, go through the textual content, and if you face any difficulty, any challenges, do let me know. Study well.